Hello, everyone. Looks like we've got some people still connecting to audio there. But hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope you guys are all off to a fantastic Wednesday so far today. We are very close to Thanksgiving, so at least everyone here in the US. So I hope that you guys are all preparing for wonderful feasts on Thanksgiving and maybe even some much needed time off. So fingers crossed on that. But we're going to give it a couple of minutes here just to see who else joins us. We've still got a couple people coming in here. And then just to get started here with my normal schmeal, for anybody who does not know, my name is Brandy and I am the support director here at Details Flowers. I also have my colleague Miranda here who's going to be manning the chat for us. And she's also going to be putting some helpful links there in the chat as well. So feel free to check those out as well as we go over the different features today. In today's class, we are going to be going over all of the customization options that there are on the proposal. So all the things that you can change, edit, hide, show, remove, etc. Is all going to be included in today's class. If you have any questions as we're going through, I do ask that you put those questions in the chat rather than turning on your mics. And we may have time to stop at certain areas today, but otherwise we will also open the floor for an open Q&A after the class is over. So rest assured that we are going to have some time there if you have any specific questions. I do ask that the questions remain on the topic of the proposal, which is what we're going to be going over today. But of course, for anyone who does not know, you can always reach out to us in several different ways. The first of which is going to be in the chat bubble in the bottom left-hand corner of your account. You can also email us at support@detailsflowers.com. And then you can also give us a call anytime Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be happy to assist you there as well. Miranda, if you can put the email and the phone number there in the chat so everybody can have that handy in case you guys do want to reach out at any point after this class. As a reminder, our classes are also always recorded, so we are going to be sending a follow-up email with the recap video as well. So if you want to rewatch that video, you are going to get an email with that probably Friday, maybe at the beginning of next week. All right, so looks like we've got good amount of people here in our room, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, and Miranda, if you can just confirm there for me that that is showing, everybody can see my screen. Lovely. All right, so like I said, today we're going to be doing the proposal and all of the different customization options that you can have here in Details. We're going to get started with our proposal settings area, which is one of the newer areas here on this page. If anybody has not used this area yet, I highly recommend doing so. The first thing that we can see is going to be our theme, which is going to be our layout here for the proposal, meaning how all of our photos and information options are going to be displayed here on our proposal. Each account does come preloaded with 3 different templates. So you're going to have the blooming template, which is what we see here. You're going to have a blossom template, which is going to be 3 photos on the front and a slightly different cover page, which is going to be that second page, or excuse me, concept page. And then you'll also have the vanilla theme, which is going to be just that. It's plain, it's vanilla, it doesn't have any photos in there. It's going to basically be for corporate clients or people you don't want to shop you around, but you still want to give them something tangible to take with them. You can certainly use that template as well. If you are interested in purchasing additional templates, you can purchase those in the marketplace for a one-time fee. I'll just let you guys briefly know that that's going to be under the main menu here under marketplace and then details add-ons. All right, and then below that, we're going to have our page number. This is going to be our footer. So it does pre-format with the tokens that we see here. So it's going to be the client's full name and then page number X of Y. However, anywhere that you see these tokens can be edited. So if you want to put free entry text in there, so maybe you want to put the client's full name and then the event date or the event location or something like that, note that you are not, you don't have to use what is here. You're not limited to that. It's just going to be what's preloaded there. Right below that, you are going to be able to choose the alignment on that footer. So whether you want that to be at the bottom right, bottom center, or bottom left of that page there, you can choose that from the drop-down menu. To the right of that, we're going to see our font options. So each proposal, you're going to have two font options. One is going to be for your headings, and the other is going to be for any other verbiage that is not going to be a heading. To select your font, you're going to click into these sections here, and you're going to see a box that comes up. On the left-hand side, you're going to be able to choose your different variant, your family, and then also your variant here. On the right-hand side, you are going to see a preview of what that font will look like. So you're going to be able to see that before you say, yes, that's exactly what I want to move that to. Additionally, though, if you do want to go ahead and just click that done button, you can also see it there in your preview here at the bottom. So if you get it on there and you say, you know, I really don't like that font, you can always come back and change that. We're going to skip over this client signature here for a second, and we'll come back to that. On the right-hand side, we are going to see our company information. So I get a lot of questions on where is this information pulled from? Well, this information is going to be pulled from your company info page. So for anybody that's new or just getting started, or for anybody who's just not familiar with like that company area there, from your main menu under company, there's an option here called info. This is where you're going to put in all of the information about your company. So like the name, address, where you're located, your website, all of that information is going to live there. And then the tokens that we see here are going to map that data into your proposal. But kind of like we were mentioning with the footer there on the left-hand side, this is all customizable. So one of the things that I like to suggest is if you have multiple salespeople or multiple designers that are in your account creating events in details, maybe you want not the company email, but you want to put that specific salesperson's email or that specific designer's email. You can certainly put that there. Or same thing with the phone. Maybe that specific designer or salesperson has an extension and you want to put that extension there as well. They can do that and customize each proposal that they do themselves. And I know that you're sitting there asking, well, do I have to do this every single time? So if Susie is in there and she creates half of the events, and then we have Beth over here that's creating the other half, do they both need to go in there every single time and update that section? The answer is no. So we have created in this proposal settings area the option to do proposal templates. So that's going to be in this menu button at the top here, and you can save as. You can save that template as a proposal template, and maybe this is going to be Beth's template or Susan's template. And then each time they load that template, it's going to have that saved information there. Along with our templates, though, are going to be the aspects of the proposal. So when we talk about proposal templates and what it's saving, what I always like to think is anything that you can edit on the proposal is going to be included in your defaults or your template. So the photos that you edit, that can be saved in the template. Any of the headers that you switch out, and maybe let's say on the concept page here where it normally says conceptual design, maybe you have something else that you like to put there as your heading. but you do that for every single proposal. You can do that in a template, and then you won't need to do it for every single proposal. Same thing with hiding and showing different areas of the proposal, which we will go over in just a moment. All of those aspects, anything that you can change on the proposal is going to be saved in that template. Similarly to the templates, you can also set defaults. So a lot of you have noticed that when you go into your proposal area, it's defaulted to a specific set of photos. It's like a boho, kind of like dried product theme. You can change that. So if you want to have something else to automatically populate here, maybe it's just something as simple as I always start out with this one photo of like my company or something to that effect. And then everything else I'm going to change. You can make everything else blank, put that one photo in, and then every time you start, you're going to start off with that default template, which is going to have any of the changes that you regularly like to make. Same as when you do defaults for like your worksheet. If, for example, you have that default and you want to change something specific for that event, you can do that as well. So they're just kind of like your starting point, if you will. Also, like the worksheet, there's no limit to the number of templates that you can make. So you can make 20 different templates, all with a different theme, with different options and changes on those proposals. And then you can come in here, and when you're doing like a corporate client, you can come in, load your corporate proposal template, and be on your way. So just some options there. Opposite that though, you can only have one default. So just to keep in mind, if you do a default here on your proposal, you can only have one, and then you can have additional templates for each other. All right, so then going back to this client signature area, this option will only show up once your client has signed the proposal. We'll go over signing the proposal a little bit later in our class, but just to note that you can choose to, when you make changes and you want to update that proposal and say, okay, I want a new signature here, you can choose to either retain or remove that signature. So, if you want your client to sign each and every time you make a change, which by the way, I do recommend, you can choose to toggle that retain signature off and then save and publish a new version. It will clear out the previous signature. If you're sitting there asking, okay, well, what about the previous signatures and all of that, information on when they signed and what version they signed? Well, up at the top here in my client quick menu, I do have an option here for view documents, and I can see each and every time this proposal has been signed. I can click on any one of these versions, see the proposal exactly as it was when they signed, and it'll have the signature and date for that time point as well. All right, so now we're going to get into the fun portion, which is going to be all of the different things that you can edit here on the proposal. So moving down here to the bottom, this is going to be our proposal editor, and then also our proposal preview, where we can see kind of what it will look like before we actually create that PDF or make any updates to the PDF that's already existing. So on your first page here, you're going to have a series of different photos. Going back to the themes here that you can purchase or that come included with your account, the layout is going to be slightly different. This is our blooming template. So I've got 4 photos here at the top. If I want to change any of these photos, I'm simply going to click on the photo that's already there. And then a box is going to appear for me to select a photo. Initially, this area is going to show up with my all inspiration. However, if I went into my inspiration gallery and I specifically selected a set of inspiration photos that pertain to this event, meaning that I click the star in the upper right-hand corner, I can go to choose from, event inspiration, and then that's going to show me all of the different inspiration photos that I selected for this event. And then I can, of course, click any one of these, and it will populate there into my proposal. Anything that is in red on this proposal, anywhere on the proposal, is something that you can edit. So things like here at the bottom where it says proposal 4, or where it lists out the client name, or here in the middle where it says my bride and groom's name, all of that information is editable. Here where it says the bride and groom's name, or it could be the bride and bride or groom, etc. The first 2 contacts that you have added into this event will automatically populate here. So that will be featured name 1 and featured name 2 will be your first contact and second contact. If you're unfamiliar with adding additional contacts into your client info section, you can go to your client info by clicking on that client quick menu, and there's an edit button here. When you get onto the client info section, at the bottom left-hand corner, there's going to be an option to add in additional contacts. We have a question here from Paula Haggerty. It says, I already have quite a few images in the inspiration photo area, so it is getting difficult to manage. Is there a way to create folders to help organize? I'm very happy that you asked this, Paula. While this is not currently an option, we are in development for that option. So it's going to be very much like we have in the item gallery and the recipe gallery. You're going to have collections or folders that you can create there of your inspiration gallery. So it's in development, and we will be sure to let you know as soon as that becomes available. All right. Next, on the left-hand side, I did just want to mention here that all of the options where we can click like into where it says Penny or into where it says proposal 4, the corresponding fields are going to be on the left-hand side of the page. So for example, I can click in to change my featured name 1. I also have an option here for featured title, which, by the way, if you have an event name that you entered in on the details page of your event, that's going to auto-populate here to this featured title. So just to keep that in mind. But of course, like anything else, you can come here and you can edit that if you don't want what you entered in as the event name to be the featured title. So you can remove that, or also you can change that to something else. Amber says, can you resize or center the image you place on the cover page? No, so we do recommend that you resize or edit the photo prior to adding it here in details. We do have an article. Miranda, if you can see if you can find the article about recommended image sizes for the proposal, and put that into the chat there. All right, and then of course, going down here, same thing for proposal 4 and the client's name here at the bottom. Additionally, though, you will see some additional contact info. So this is actually going to be your contact info. So your phone number and your website there. If you don't want those things to show, you can hide that as well. Thank you, Miranda. So you can hide that as well if you'd like. Using my current page drop-down menu here, I'm going to navigate over to the concept page. This is going to be an additional space for inspiration, things like inspiration photos or your floral inspiration. Let's look at the floral inspiration first. So this is going to be like the individual items that you've used in your event. So to get there, we're going to click on any one of these different photos. It's going to pop up with that same modal that we just saw on our cover page, only this time we're going to click on that choose from and go to favorite items. This is going to be all of the items that you favorited to your design board. So any of those photos will show up here for you to select. And you'll do this for each one of the different fields here. I have run into people who, let's say you're only using a handful of items and maybe you don't have enough to fill up the space. Good news is that any of those spaces, you can also choose to have no image. So if you wanted to remove any of those, you can do that as well. Same for any of these inspiration photos you see here. Your color palette is going to automatically populate here, so nothing really to do there. And then at the top, we've got some additional spaces that you can edit. So like I mentioned, you can change out the titles of any page that's in the proposal. You can also edit this area where it's overall feeling and then your description here as well. So you can click from the preview, or you can click on the left-hand side into any of these fields as well. Next, we're going to go to the design agreement page. So this is going to primarily auto-populate with things. So it'll be your client information that you added in on the client info page, things like their address, their names, phone numbers, things like that. Below that is going to be your event information and schedule. So that's going to be everything that you put into the details page of your event. So that would be the very first page when you're creating your event. And then right below that is also going to be our vendor teams, also located on that details page. And you can enter in your vendor teams here as well. Options for editing on this, you can edit that title there, event design agreement. So if you don't like that, and the vendor teams area, you can edit that as well. We do find that some people really like that vendor team section and some people don't use it at all. So if you do not use it at all, you can hide that vendor team section should you choose. Okay. Next is going to be our items page. So I find that a lot of questions come from this page. What I can say is the thought here is that if you put something on like your design board, let's say, that it would automatically populate here. However, the blooms and vases and things that populate here are going to be items that you've actually used on the proposal, so that you've used in a recipe. So if you're not using recipes, I highly recommend that you use those recipes and put the individual items in there. That way it will populate with this wonderful imagery that you see here for all of the different things that you're using in this event. On the left-hand side of this page, you will see that you can edit any of the titles. So each different item type is going to have a section. So blooms and greenery, vases and rentals, hard goods, etc. And you can choose to change the category names on the left-hand side. If there's a section that you don't want to show, something like hard goods, for example, you can choose to hide the entire section here on the left-hand side. Also, on any one of these pages, you can also choose to hide the entire page. So, for example, if you don't want to use the concept page, or I've got some people that don't want to show like the breakdown of all of your costs, which we'll see here at the end, you can hide that as well. Any page within the proposal can be hidden. All right, looks like we've got a couple of questions here. Can we change the descriptors for bouquet delivery? We do a lot of events that do not include bouquets. At this time, no, but it is something that we're hoping to implement in the near future. Dara said, would love an option to have a separate delivery location for personals. Okay, yeah, I can definitely put that information in. I kind of think that will go hand in hand with the option to change bouquet delivery, and then also, of course, add additional spaces there. So also, if a recipe is proposed, I noticed the vase doesn't show up. So vases and rentals aren't showing up on things that you have as a proposed line item, is what you're saying. I could check that out. All right, lovely. So moving on here to our next section, which is going to be our line item section. These are going to be your, let me go ahead and make everything visible. These are going to be your recipes. So for any one of your recipes that you have on your worksheet, they're going to show up here. It's going to start with everything that you see here, which is going to be, the recipe name, recipe image, all the images for all of the items that you used in there. It'll have your price per recipe along with your total based on, quantity, and then your description and notes. So if you have any one of those things that you want to hide, for example, I know I'm bad for it when I create a new recipe. I'm bad at changing my recipe name. So then it just says new recipe. So I probably will want to go ahead and hide that. And then also, if you're not wanting to show individual line item prices, maybe you just want to show a total, you can go in here and you can hide those prices as well. You also have the option to hide section subtotals. So for example, my bouquets total here of all the bouquets that I'm using for this event, you can hide that on the left-hand side as well. So et cetera, with all of the different options that we see here. And then, of course, as with every other page, like I mentioned, you can choose to hide that as well. Next is going to be our terms page. So this is going to be the default contract terms, or it could also be your event terms if you made any changes there as well. And those are going to show up here in your payment terms. I do want to mention while we're on this page that if you are not using contract tokens, meaning they look like this, only you're going to put them into your contract like template, either in your company settings or in your event terms. I highly recommend that you do so. Miranda, if you can put in an article about the contract tokens, that would be lovely. But basically what that means is that it's going to populate different bits of data based on the event itself. So maybe I'm putting client name, and for every event that I create, it's going to put in that client's name. Or same thing with like the retainer amount. For every event, it's going to put the retainer amount for that specific event. This is a way to really customize your proposal and your contract terms without having to manually put that information in. So just some options there. Paula, I've got your request. I'll go ahead and put that in as well. I would recommend, though, just for anybody who is unaware, Paula said that she needed to reduce the size of her contract, the font size. I would recommend that you go in and check out the different fonts that we have in there, because some of them do allow you to have, it makes it smaller. So things like handwriting fonts, those are smaller. So I would go in there and check that out for the time being, but I will also put your request in. So just kind of some options there. If you want to put those tokens in, I highly recommend that you do so. Next is going to be our breakdown page. So this is going to show a very granular overview of everything that's included in the event. If you have discounts or fees, that's going to show up here. If you're using that staff and labor section, that's also going to show up here. And then it's also going to show that summary that we always see at the bottom of our worksheet, and it's going to show it exactly as you see it on the worksheet. I find that a lot of people choose to hide this page, and some people really love this page because they have clients that need to see every little thing. So it just kind of depends on your process and your clientele. But like I said, if you need to hide this page for any reason, that's going to be on the left-hand side, and you can hide that there. You can also choose to hide, or excuse me, change where it says event total breakdown. So if you want to name this something differently. And then I also, in the summary section, it has this column for discounts, but as we know, at least I'm hoping, we don't offer a discount for every event that we have. So if you're not offering a discount to somebody, there is an option on the left-hand side to where you can hide that column. So just so everyone's aware of that. And then our final page here is going to be our summary page. So this is going to be a more brief overview of everything that's included here. On the right-hand side, it's also going to have your payment schedule, what's already been paid versus what's still outstanding. Your option to make payments to is going to be here as well. On the left-hand side, things that we can edit that heading. We can choose to show or hide the tax number. So the tax number is going to be for people in other countries. So if you're in the US, you don't need to worry about that. Our tax numbers do not show up on there. But if you have GST, that information is going to show up here. Invoice number is also something that you can either show or hide. Your company's signature. So I do recommend that you always sign this in addition to your client. However, if your process, you don't sign the contracts, you can remove that line completely. And then that way your client's not coming back saying, well, why didn't you sign? So you can choose to hide that at any point as well. All right, so that's going to be kind of the overview of our proposal there and everything that you can hide and choose to show and change. So I'm going to go ahead and save at the bottom here. When you're ready to update the proposal link, you're going to go ahead and click that Save and Publish button. Something that I have recently been getting a lot of questions on, or finding that people didn't already know about, is that that link there will update automatically when you save and publish a new version. So if you've sent that link to your client and you make changes, you don't need to resend that link to them. It's going to be the same link throughout the entire process. So that way, you can just say, hey, I've made some changes. Feel free to check out that same link. And they can click in and view that at any point. That will be true unless, of course, you create a new link. So if you choose to do that, then you will need to resend it. But short of that, it's going to be the same link through the entire process. And every time you save and publish a new version, your client will be able to see it instantaneously. So speaking of that link, that's going to be over here on the right-hand side. You can copy this link and send that off to your client externally. Something to note for anybody who does not already have one, we do domains or custom URLs that you can put here into your proposal link. So for example, every proposal that comes out of Details is going to start with proposal.details.flowers. However, you can choose to customize it to your company. So for example, brandysflowers.events, and then it would put, all the rest of the information there, the unique identifiers here for the proposal. So if anybody is interested in that, let me know and I can get you some information. Above that, you can also put an expiration date. So if you want to kind of light the fire under your client and say, hey, this proposal is going to be good until next Monday, feel free to check it out and sign if you want to go ahead and move forward with that. So if you want to put an expiration date here, you'll click in, select your date, click done, and then you can click save on that. If you ever want to remove that in the future though, so maybe they sign before the expiration date and you want to have them continue on with the ability to see that, we can delete that as well. All right, so Polly says, I have some clients that have trouble finding a way to download/print the proposal PDF. I think it's especially bad on the mobile version. Any advice there? I don't know about the mobile version. I'll check that out. But as far as the version here, when they view it, it's going to have the little symbols that are up at the top right-hand corner. So we'll look at that here in just a second. Okay, so it's going to have these options here at the upper right-hand corner. I would imagine that they would have the exact same options on mobile. It's probably just not as easily visible, if you will. But I can follow back up with you. I'll test it on mobile and let you know like the steps, and that way you can just send those same steps to your client if you ever have any issues. But once you have created your proposal, I always recommend that you come in here and view this PDF before you send it off to your client. That means like the first time that you send it, of course. So I would recommend going through and making sure that everything looks exactly as you want it. Yes, that's exactly all the photos that I want here. We can go through and just check and make sure that all the times and everything is great with that. So highly recommend that you do that. And then once you've done so, and you're done with all of that other information, one other thing to look at here is going to be this revoke access. So we hope that this will never happen, but if you ever need to revoke access from somebody, you can do that here with the revoke access button. And then up here at the top right-hand corner, we're going to see our history section. So you can always come back and view any of the previous versions of this proposal. By clicking on the little blue piece of paper here. You can also choose to revert back in versions for your client. So like if you don't want them to see the most up-to-date version, you want them to see the version previous. You can click on that version and select change proposal, and that will update the link back to the previous version. So just some information there. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for questions. I've got a couple of them still here in the chat, so I'm going to go with those first. So if you have any other questions, go ahead and put those in the chat now. Okay, Dara said, is there anything that in the works for us to be able to change things on the details page? Any way we can change ceremony, cocktails, reception? I like to use details for corporate clients as well. Nothing in the works at the moment. It is something that we plan to do in the future, but we're not currently working on it. The vendor list automatically lists alphabetically, which I'd prefer to keep in the order we input. I use vendor area for other things like logistics / delivery / details, so I want it in specific order. Wonderful thing to bring up, Paula. So for anybody who wants additional delivery information, this is an option that you might find beneficial, which is to use the vendor team section instead. So for example, we rename this to be additional delivery locations. And then in that vendor teams area, you would put, I don't know, bride's delivery, groom's delivery, et cetera, et cetera. And you can put those informations here. However, what Paula is saying is that every time you put it in, it's going to show up in alphabetical order, which in some aspects is great. However, kind of like what she's saying, she's using that for different things like delivering. And so maybe you want that in a different order. My recommendation to you is to put 1 dot and then whatever that is, 2 dot, because it will also go in numerical order. So if you want to put in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it will show up in that order as well. And then Polly, you said you can change those titles in the worksheet. Which titles? The cocktails, etc. The cocktails information it shows up on the details page, not the worksheet area. All right, so we'll wait on Polly to respond there. I am interested in that information there, Polly, though. I think she means the headings, which can be changed. Like the headings here on the proposal, or we're talking about like the sections and line items and things can be changed. So like maybe you're making a line item that says every titled in the worksheet, and then it shows up on the proposal line items page. Oh, yeah. So like the line items and things. Yeah. So I mean, definitely a workaround there. So if you would prefer to use like the like a line items page in place of like the design agreement page, it's kind of what they're saying. So if you want to go onto the line items page and maybe we put in here, I don't know, times and locations as a section, and then you can put in the different line items there in place of that. That could work for the moment. All right, Laura said, is there any way to tag the photos in our custom gallery of inspirations to indicate their general categories, such as bouquets or venues? It takes a long time to search the photos for what you need. Laura, I think that you were not here when we talked about this originally, but we are in the works right now for doing like collections in the inspiration gallery. So in that sense, you'll be able to like section them out by, I don't know, venue photos or bouquet photos, etc. Or if you want to do like different themes or color schemes, etc. Very much like you can in the recipe and the item gallery, you can certainly do that as well. All right. Are there any other questions that people might have here about the proposal or anything in relation to? Go ahead and give it a couple minutes to allow everybody some time to type in their question if they have any. Like I said, we are going to do a recap video of this, so if you have any additional questions or anything like that, you can always feel free to respond back to that email. Additionally, you can rewatch this as many times as you want. So if there's anything that you want to go back to, we can certainly do that as well. How about increasing size character limits for narrative areas, i.e. concept page? So no, we don't plan to do that at the moment. Of course, never say never is kind of our motto here. It's not something that we're currently working on. However, what I will say is there are certain templates that will allow you to add more information into those different areas. So specifically where the Holly Chapel templates are concerned, so if anybody has any of those Holly Chapel templates, those are great options for I don't know, different things, like if you want to put more in a concept description area, or if you want to on the very first page, the cover page, we've had some people that have, like, I don't know, ridiculously long names, if you will. And they put it here and then it cuts off at a certain point. And it's actually not a character limit, it's a size limit. So like, for example, I can put less W's in a line than I can I's. So that's kind of where that's at right now. But I would recommend that you check out some of our other templates, specifically the Holly Chapel templates. There are a couple in there that allow you to have more stuff in those areas. It's not going to be exponentially more though, because the area is the size that it is, and it will only hold up to a certain amount without changing the template style, if you will. Let's see. Oh, also other image spaces. So we've had people ask in the past if they can have some additional image spaces. That's another thing that you'll find with the Holly Chapel templates. You go ahead and just put in one of these. So you'll be able to put some additional photos in here. So this one has a couple extra photos on there. It's also got the extended space here for you to put additional name sizes in there. And then same thing with our concept. You've got a little extra space here on this one. So just depending on what you're writing. I will say though, kind of to the same concept as putting in your times and locations and things on the item, on the worksheet, so that it puts into your line items. You can also do like a general notes section. So if you wanted to do just general notes section, and you can do that as a recipe. And then for the recipe photo, I would put like notes. And one of the benefits to that is that you can actually do a notes section for each, a notes line for each section. So maybe we do a section for all the bouquets, and we're going to say, okay, the bouquets are going to have this feel with this style, and we're going to incorporate these different things, etc. And you could do that for each section, or of course you can just have like one general notes section. So just some options there. If we'd like clients to initial each page of the contract or on specific points of the terms and agreements, like next to the cancellation policy, is that possible? Right now, there's only the client signature at the very end of the proposal, but I'd like to add an extra initials. So Janelle, right now, this is not something that is, it's not available if you're doing it from the PDF itself. Right now, the PDF itself only allows you to do a signature. However, if you have somebody that you want to sign specific sections of the contract terms, you can add in like line items, if you will, using underscores in your terms, and they can print that out and manually sign the different sections. But as far as like e-signature wise, there's not an option in there. Diana says, is there a way to test out other templates without purchasing? Diana, no, there is not. So let me go ahead and show you guys the marketplace and kind of show you what that looks like. So in these areas in the marketplace, it does give you a preview of what it will look like. So you'll be able to see, like how many photos it entails. What are my color schemes going to look like in that specific template? So if I click on this, it's going to give you all of that information here, so you can kind of see that. This is not going to help with like how many characters can we put in the concept, but it will give you kind of an idea of what this will look like. And that way you can make an informed decision before you purchase. So those are all going to be listed here. And you can click on any one of these to view the different layouts. Anybody else have questions? go ahead and leave this open for a little bit here. There's so much that you can do on the proposal. And not only that, but each company, each bride is always going to want something different. So for one person, it might be, I write a tremendously long conceptual description, and so I need that extra space. Or it could be, we write almost nothing as far as verbiage, so we need more image spaces to tell our story. So we've kind of tried to accommodate each person and things that they might want. And we definitely, that was what we had in mind when we did the Holly Chapel templates, with Holly Chapel, and kind of, got her input, got input from our customers and things that they wanted to see. And so you'll see a lot of that when you come into this marketplace, and you can see which ones are focusing on what. So, maybe they're focusing on additional image spaces, or they're focusing on a more trendy layout. So just some things to keep in mind there. But I will be going through and logging everybody's requests. So while we're on that topic, I do want to mention that putting in feature requests is probably one of the most important things that you will do as a user. It helps us exponentially, because obviously you guys are in the software, using it every day on a use case. So I would recommend that if you have something that you want to see in the software, that you come into your main menu here, go under support, and then there's a contact us form here. On this page, you can put in different feature requests. So you'll use this drop-down menu under type of request to put feature request. And then you can put whatever that request is here as well. So if you ever run into anything that you want to see in the software, please put it here. And that way we can keep track of the number of times something has been asked, and definitely reach back out once it's been implemented. So. All right, but it looks like everybody's done with questions for the moment. So as a reminder, though, if you do have any additional questions or something pops into your head after our webinar here, you can always reach out to us. One of the best ways is going to be using this chat bubble here in the bottom left-hand corner. That's going to be Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can also, of course, give us a call. Our number is also listed on this page. You can schedule a meeting with us. It's a 15-minute meeting if you have any questions. And then, of course, you can also email us. But I appreciate everybody taking some time out of their day today to learn a little bit more about details and the proposal area. And I hope that you all have a fantastic rest of your week. And like I said at the beginning, that you guys get some much needed time off for Thanksgiving. But thank you all, and I hope that you have a great day.